If you overprice on property, whether it be a single family that you're selling your personal home, or whether it's going to be your investment property that you're selling, as an investor, if you overprice it, it's going to sit.
It's going to sit. Yeah.
Because you have to be open to getting low offers.
Welcome back to the Scale Nation podcast, everyone. It's been a while. I know I've been having to deal with some personal issues, but I'm back and I'm here and I got a lot of stories to share. A lot. I'm here with my co-host Zach, and today we're going to just talk about some underwriting, how to underwrite your certain markets and things that you need to look out for when underwriting. We're going to go in depth. I have a little guide here, and at the end of the podcast here, I'll share this guide with you guys as well. Zach, how you been, man?
Well, I'm doing all right. Yeah, we're working real hard on Grace. Grace is really coming along.
I remember I heard that you guys are going to hit 80% in July, right?
Yeah, we're actually now over 80%. So whatever happened this month, we just, so I challenged the team first week of the month, and I said, listen, we need to get we need to get 3 applications. 3 more tenants brings us to 80%. We ended up getting 4 by the end of the week. So we were about 81% after that 4th lease.
Nice.
And they've just been killing it this past week here. And now we're at 7 new move-ins. We're at the point where I'm looking at my units and going, I don't have any more ready.
Wow. That's a good problem to have.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So now that you have so much
87% now, it's with all the side leases we got.
Now that you have so much traction, do you think that you're going to get those other ones ready? Because I remember there was one that was just like a full gut and it was empty, like the wall.
Yeah, so that full gut 49, that one's going to say, basically it's going to say storage.
Okay.
We have a lot of materials in it, a lot of stuff tools in it, and stuff that, used mainly for Grace that we just keep inside that unit, big, large tools. And the only other one that we have a lot of work to do is 12. That one I'm not even worried about getting finished just yet. So I'm working on just the other ones, the quicker turn ones. I mean, we're obviously into the C's and closer to the D quality units after we pick them up. So they need a little bit more work, but I think we're going to get it all done. We've hired another contractor to come in with him and his 2 guys. And the last time I hired them, they banged out a unit within 2 days, like a day and a half.
Wow, that's awesome.
Unit. So I got him a list.
What do you think was the hump? What helped you get over the hump to get all these people in? Was it the new sign?
We figured out the market. We learned the market.
Yeah. What did you learn?
Because
I was thinking, man, maybe if you put that sign out there, people might.
No, so we were advertising on all the Pittsburgh Facebook groups that we had units for rent. We had this, that, and other thing. And people were calling. We were getting some leads. But we actually copied and pasted what Walter is doing down in Jackson, Mississippi. And we basically put out there, we said, listen, pay your security deposit up front. We'll waive the first month's rent, and we're going to put it into the back end of the lease. So our 1-bedroom is renting for $800 a month, and they're gonna pay the first $800 security deposit. That's all they pay in the first month, and then at on month 2 they actually pay $850 from that point forward.
Wow!
So in the 12-month period, they're actually saving $250 in the long run. But what actually benefits for them is that they don't have to come up with that big, large lump sum.
Lump sum in the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah. I get what you're saying now.
Yeah, exactly. And it benefits us as the owners as well, because we're not showing rent rolls at $800. We're showing rent rolls at $850.
$850.
We're not showing rent rolls for 2 bedrooms at $950. We're showing rent rolls at $1,000.
Wow.
So that increases really value there as well.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So I had a tenant moving in. I got one moving in on the 17th. I got one moving in on the 20th, and then I got a whole bunch moving in on the 1st.
That's cool, dude. Wow. Yeah.
And I think that was a sweet part. We made an AI advertisement. We posted that back up on all the Facebook groups, and we just kept hitting those Pittsburgh Facebook groups with that advertisement, like 1 month free.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're making that back in the back end. So yeah, that's a really good strategy. That's a really good strategy.
Yeah, I can't take credit for it. Like I said, copied and paste from Walter down there, and
yeah, but it wouldn't work, right? This is exactly what we're talking about in this podcast right now, right? When you're underwriting, you need to know your market. It probably wouldn't work in another market. They wouldn't be like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that I have my security deposit and stuff. And
yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
And we give them the option too. So these are your options. Option 1 is you can pay $1,600 up front and pay a security deposit and first month's rent. or you can pay $800 up front, $850 every month after that. It's a little higher rent for them, but that lump sum has been the challenge for people.
I recently.
We actually have
Okay.
one tenant, and I'm very proud of this one, and I love it, who's moving in on the 20th. The one who's moving on the 20th, they're not paying anything up front, nothing at all. And the reason they're not is because we use a security deposit alternative called Obligo.
Okay.
And when they qualify for Obligo, they don't have to pay a security deposit to us. They are approved through this third party that if we need a security deposit, we file a report with Obligo, and then however that works on their end, they get charged or not.
It's like it's a security deposit insurance is what I'm
Pretty
hearing.
much, yeah.
Pretty
Yep.
much, yeah.
Once
They pay monthly
they're
fees
approved, then
and
they don't pay anything. Like I got one tenant that did both of them, signed up for the special and did the security deposit, insurance, yeah. And they get to move in without any money down.
that is actually
not
pretty
a lot.
cool. I didn't even know about Obligo. How do you spell that? Obligo.
I type it in the website so much here.
Oh, I see it. Obligo, no deposit, no standards
Yep.
for security deposits.
Obligo.com. Yeah.
Wow. You should call them and be like, hey, I got more people I need. Let's
Well,
start a
that's
business.
it. So I just integrated it with AppFolio, so it actually shows up on the applicant's portal now.
Wow.
So before they even pay a security deposit to us, they can opt to apply for Obligo.
That is actually really cool. Maybe I can see what my PM uses. So I had a question for you. So I'm using Jeff, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I talked to. I feel like I'm bugging them a lot because a lot of the stuff that I'm new to this investment game. I'm not like everybody else. So I'm new, and I had questions about AppFolio because they gave me access to AppFolio, but I can only see specific stuff. And I was like,
You see the owner's end of things.
The owner end of things, right? I
Yeah.
see like what the property is, the income that's coming in, income going out, transactions. But I didn't see like any work orders or any of like the when someone applied or the lease went through or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff that I get to see. I know after the fact, right? And I was wondering, because I even asked the group this. I was wondering, like, is this common? Is this like, is this what it's like the standard? And everyone was like, yeah, that's pretty much the standard, man. You as an owner, you don't want to be worried about all these other things. It's like, yeah, but I want to learn, right?
Owners don't. And you're the type of person that wants to be more hands-on.
Yeah. So I spoke to another partner of ours that we all hear, and he was like, I want to get a property in there, another fourplex if you can find it in your area, but he doesn't want to manage it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe if I can get that, and use that as my owner occupied move-in, so I can get a low rate with that person together, and then I'm like, maybe I can just live in there and just manage it myself. And he was like, you're crazy. Why do you want to manage yourself? Because I want to learn, man, because there's so much about property management I don't know, right? Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be shoveling poop out a window, but still there's stuff that I don't know. Like, I don't know
if
how.
anyone listening to the podcast right now doesn't understand poop out a window, go back and listen to our podcast with Jeff. That was hilarious.
Yeah, with Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's stuff that it's just, I don't know how leases are. I don't know how the people in the market are. For example, I would have never figured out that whole 100, like giving them the first month free, but raising it by $50. I will never figure that out because I don't have that experience like you do. Just that you have the reps, I call it, right? You've done it.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 6 years now. So
yes,
try this, try that, all kinds of things. Yeah, I'm pulling up my my AppFolio here just to see your accessibility.
Well, I thought you could customize it to determine what you want to put on the owner portal.
You can.
And I think it's some things that you just don't really want the owners to worry about, because I think if they put it on the owner portal, it does it for all the owners, right? Retroactively. It's not just only for me, it's for all of them together. So maybe there's some guys that just don't want to show that information.
Yeah. Manage users. What do we got here?
I do like there's like on AppFolio, there's like a dashboard that shows you how many units you have and whether or not they've paid. And then like there's like a bar that goes up to see if it's gone all the way to full. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, something that you might want. Maybe Jeff can do this for you. Just have a conversation. Ask for him. Ask for him to set up what it's called scheduled reports.
Scheduled reports? Is that like an AI report thing?
He can customize a report for your specific unit to be emailed to you daily, weekly, whatever. as far as things like delinquency, lease expirations, rent rolls, vacancies, and work orders.
Scheduled reports. And this is all just automatic, or they have to
Yep.
have them do it themselves?
Yeah, no, it's automatic. Once it's set, once that report is saved in that template, and then they input it into the schedule reports function, it emails every time it's set to email. So like I said, I told you earlier before we started recording, I've been digging deep. I mean, I've been diving into this my AI agent that I've been developing. Not 100% perfect yet, but getting there. But I actually have her getting emails from AppFolio because I can't have her integrate yet. I'm not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But she gets emails from AppFolio, uploads all that information into her memory, and provides me with a comprehensive report
That's actually really cool.
through Telegram.
I saw that. I was like, why is that on Telegram? I got a notification. I was like, I'm not going to ask her.
The reason I chose Telegram is because Telegram's made for bots.
Okay.
I had her
actually a really good idea.
I had her initially hooked up to WhatsApp, and
but then you got blocked.
No. In order to do that, though, I have to go through Twilio, so I have to pay an additional charge through their phone numbers or WhatsApp inbox function. But WhatsApp actually blocks bots from being in group chats. So I actually added Sierra, and I moved all of my Sequoia group chats over to Telegram with all my team, because now Sierra will listen and learn from the conversations.
That's actually really good. So everyone's on Telegram now. The team's on Telegram.
Yep.
That's really good. That's really cool. I want to see it. Stuff like that I would have never thought of. Because I'm not in the game like you, man. I'm on the owner side. I'm on the as passive as it can be side, you know? So I wanted to talk about rental comps. So I know your property, Grace Valley, is in McKeesport, right?
Grace Valley, next to McKeesport, it's in North for sale.
Renzi
is in McKeesport. Yeah.
So when you're ever underwriting your properties, let's say you're looking at not even like a large one. Let's say you're looking at a small, like a 2 to 4. How do you do your rental comps, right? And I'll tell you how I do it, and then I'll let you know if that's anything. So what I usually do is I leverage AI, of course. I ask it to give me some information about the area, the rents, and what AI does, because I watch it. It goes to like Zillow, some rental site, I forget what it's called, but it goes to Zillow, Redfin, all the big guys, and then gets all what the units are rented for, compares all of them, and then sends me, hey, this is your rental costs, this is what your average is, this is what this is what I would aim for, right? And it does that because I've really been really strict for it to do it that way. That's how I do it, but I wanted to know if there's any other way. I know there's a bunch of softwares out there. Like I remember there's like Rentometer is one of them.
Yeah, and you can leverage softwares, but like I do it pretty much the same way you do. So I'll pull up apartments.com, pull up Zillow, and I'll look at the area. But what I also do is I look at the neighboring areas too, because the purpose of what we're doing is I'm obviously buying in a C-class neighborhood, and I actually have Renzi, which is in a C-class neighborhood, down the street from an A-class, like right there.
Wow.
So you pull out a Renzi, you can go left into McKeesport, or you can go right into White Oak. And White Oak is a desired area.
I know about White Oak. Yeah.
I'm advertising as White Oak because it's like right on the line. And Renzi is right inside of a park. Like it's surrounded by a park.
That's amazing.
It's quiet.
I had to go to. I didn't get to see that.
You've never been to this one, no?
I've never been to Renzi. Yeah, I've been to Grace Valley a bunch. I gotta go see
so it's getting a little bit more in rents because I'm leveraging the good neighborhood next to it
and the park.
Yep, absolutely.
The park is like living next to a park. People don't understand when I'm gonna go for a walk. You have all that grass and green when it's green, right?
They walk right out the door and they're right there in the park. And there's two sides to it. There's like an amphitheater. There's like there's even like a greenhouse, a community garden.
Wow.
They have pavilions and all kinds of stuff like that. And then you go across the street and there's a lake, there's a pond.
Okay, this
baseball.
Is a nice area.
Yeah. Right.
This is nice.
So I leverage that too. Look at what's around you too. Because if you look at what's around you, you see something better than what you're at. So we're gonna push, it's a whole philosophy of making your area better as you improve, extending the good area to encompass you.
And I don't think that's, unless you start buying a lot of singles or multis, like small multis, I think that's really good traction of a large multifamily because it gives you that ability to do that. Like the second you buy it, you can flip that property around and turn what is a bad area into a good area because you have all the people going there and you can clean up, like, let's say the park next to you. You can start get that cleaned up and get the...
I think I mentioned to you before that just by the renovations we're doing at Grace, the business across the street told me like now I feel like I have to renovate. Now
Right.
I have to
Yes.
improve. I have to make it look better because Grace is on both sides of the street and he's surrounded by grays. He's like now I look like a piece of crap in this better area.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
But when we're talking 2 to 4s, kind of the same thing, but you're a little bit more restricted to the street, to the block. Because as you know, Pittsburgh is very neighborhood oriented.
Very.
Especially like I said, if your duplex is sitting in McKeesport, you can't really leverage that White Oak market because you have multiple McKeesport duplexes surrounding you.
True. I heard Starbucks is going to McKeesport, and Starbucks is actually pretty.
It's being built in North for Sales right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're building it in North for Sales, right next to the Walmart.
Right next to the Walmart. Yep. That's in my opinion, Starbucks is always the first to go anywhere. So and they're, to be honest, they're closing down a lot of locations. So the fact that they're building one in McKeesport or in North for Sales says a lot about what their future after that area.
Yeah, they're hoping it's going to be a little bit better. From what I understand, I mean, when you're looking at a market too, look at the council. Like who's in charge?
The council. Okay.
Yeah, when we purchased Grace, there was an election. So the guy who actually got elected is actually got rid of, like he won over the incumbent who was a little bit corrupt.
Whoa. Okay.
So they're now working to increase North for Sales businesses. They're bringing new businesses in. They're trying to attract new people, all kinds of stuff like that to turn it around. I've heard people say like McDonald's was going to come in, that was not, but then this business is going to come in. Obviously, Starbucks is coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So
Amazon's already there, if I remember
Amazon
correctly.
right down the street from Grace, which is awesome. Yep.
I saw a bunch of little Amazon trucks. Do you know, I know this is just a side hustle idea. Do you think that there's an empty lot near Amazon, like a huge empty land near Amazon?
You mean because the depot that I had next to Grace?
Yeah, because the reason why I asked is because there's a guy, and I think he's a genius here. And this is a little bit outside of this is in Florida. So there's Amazon here as well in Miami, and they just got there. And then this guy next to them bought this huge part of land, and he just turned it all into like truck parking, right? And I was like, why did he put a truck parking there of all places, right? Because it's on like right in a highway, and I was like, why is it there of all places? And it took a couple months, but after a month, I saw nothing but Amazon delivery trucks there. And then now and I checked Amazon, now we get same day delivery here in this area. And I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
How he was like, I'll put this land here.
That was smart. But yeah, the depot
Yeah.
we have in this area, I mean, the depot is huge.
Yeah. So I was thinking if they have land there that's close, maybe we could turn it into like because parking doesn't require that much maintenance, I would assume. Besides, we have snow though. I wonder how that would work.
Yeah, we have snow. I mean,
yeah, I wonder how that would work. Yeah, Florida is just sun all day, no snow. If it snows here, then we got bigger problems.
Be catching awesome on the trees again.
So how did you know about the vacancy for did you take it to gamble vacancy in McKeesport, or did you think if I could turn this around I can fix the vacancies?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of the strategy. So like I said, we bought Grace at 50%.
Okay.
And obviously a multifamily that large, it's valued based off its income. So we actually bought 1.2 and $400,000 into it. We're actually not even at the full $400,000 yet. But as we turn the units, I mean, the strategy is always turn the units until they're livable.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be great. Again, we're in the C neighborhood. We're not going to be slumlords. We're not going to be, horrible, but they're going to be livable. They're going to be convenient. They're going to be nice for somebody who just needs a place to live. And then once we're at occupancy, now at 87%, we're going to go ahead and go back in, as 2 units get turned and improve the quality, which then improve the area.
That's a good. I mean, you guys already improved the parking. I remember that. That was your biggest expense.
Yeah, it was $80,000.
$80,000. Yeah. Overall, it looks really nice. Question to you then. This leverages into my next point. How did you know the assessment or reassessment after you purchased Grace, right? So this is something I'm having issues with. Let's say I'm purchasing a fourplex in Crafton, right? And the person was going to sell it originally at this price, but then we got them to go lower. Does that mean that they are overestimating it, or we're lowering it because they're just trying to get rid of it, and it could sell at that price. So that's what the actual value is. So how do you do like assessment value versus market value? How do you like figure that
Yeah,
out?
so you gotta see those are two different things, right?
Right.
The assessment value is based on what the town says your property is worth according to them. And it could be higher or lower than market. But the good thing for you too is if it's lower than market, you're actually saving money on taxes because you have this calculation called millage rate and everything like that. You
Okay.
take your assessed value, they multiply the area's millage rate set by the townships on their own, which get their tax amounts. And spring fall taxes can be different millage rates based on what the school taxes need versus.
Wait, spring fall taxes? They can be
Yeah, in
different?
Pennsylvania you have spring taxes, which is the township, stuff like that. But then in the fall, that's the school tax. So that tax goes right to the local schools.
Interesting. I never even thought about that. Spring fall taxes.
Yeah. So it's
So I
not
went, but
one.
it's charged annually though, right? It's still calculated annually.
It's calculated annually in the
Okay.
spring and in the fall. Now there's two different taxes. One is charged in the spring every year, and one is charged in the fall every year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
I wish I had a slip to show you, but they're all back at my office and filed away. But if you buy a property and you find the assessed value is actually higher than what you paid for it, higher than your appraised value, higher than your market value, all you need to do is, and I did this with one of my properties, is I went and filed an appeal with the tax bureau.
Okay.
And so when I first bought when I first bought my property in Indiana, in Geesey Road, 5 units, 5 single family houses, the township had it assessed for $260,000.
Okay.
And the tax bill was something like $6,000.
Must make sense.
But I paid $115 for it. It appraised for $130.
Interesting.
Yeah. So all I did, I filed an appeal with the tax bureau. They sent me a letter for a hearing date, and
You have to go?
yeah, I had to go. I had to go to the hearing.
Wow.
And most people who file an appeal say the assessor comes out, looks at your personal home, and says it's worth this much. You can file an appeal and you can argue that it's not, or that this or whatever. And usually you have to argue and I'm trying to convince them that it's not worth what the assessor says it is.
Right.
So tax is lowered. But if you have that appraisal and that purchase agreement and everything, and you've closed on it for $115,000 and appraised for $130,000, I walked in and I handed them the appraisal and I said, it's not worth $260,000, it's worth $130,000.
Right.
And they couldn't argue with it because the assessor is not an appraiser. And they said, okay,
That's true.
So that cut my tax bill in half.
So did they lower it to exactly 130?
Yep. It's now assessed for 130 because I had the appraisal. Now, since then, I've had it reappraised. It's appraised for more, but I'm still assessed for 130.
Interesting. That's actually really cool. Interesting, huh?
Because they don't assess every year. They don't reassess properties every year. They reassess. The last time they reassessed, I think, was about 5 years ago. And before that, it had been like 20, 30 years.
Do you think they're going to reassess again? Because if they reassess, the school rates are killing. I checked McKeesport. The McKeesport mills rate is like 56%.
Yeah,
no, 59%. It's high.
But yeah, of course, they're always going to reassess every now and then, but they don't assess every year.
Okay.
But
and then when they reassess, is they going to reassess up to the rate, up to the purchase price, or is it something else entirely?
The assessor's estimation of value.
Okay.
Yeah. So the township hires an assessor that looks at the property and says it's worth this much.
Interesting.
So,
that's very interesting.
Yeah. Huh. But that's a big reason why you cannot not raise rents. Every year when a lease is up, I raise rents at least $30.
Okay. Minimum $30. Okay.
Yeah. Because say we have a tenant who lives there for 10 years and you raise rents every year for $30. Okay. That's, what's that? $300 that you increased. And over the course of 10 years, that's a lot of money. But what you've also done is you've trained the tenant that there will be an increase in rent every year. If you don't increase rents every year, at least something, and then you get hit with a reassessment and a larger tax bill, or they change the millage rate and increases the tax bill, and then you're forced to go ahead and raise rents $50 to $100 to $200.
Well, you're gonna lose your tenant, man.
It's
gonna be hard. Yeah, you're gonna be hard to fulfill that too.
Yeah. So as you gradually, so it's more training than say, hey, instead of $30 this year, I have to do $50 this year. And they're not going to think twice about it because they're accustomed to an increase.
Right.
Yeah. And over the course of say a 10-year period, $30 a year, you raise rent $300, but it's not just $300. It's, that by, 120 months, right? So
yeah. Wow. I didn't even think about it that way. The fact that you put it that way makes a lot more sense than me. I thought that. So I have a question now. What if you were to buy the property, let's say yesterday, and they reassess tomorrow? How do you know, right?
you better hope you have an appraisal lower than the assessment value.
God,
Something like that can kill a deal, right?
That could kill a deal, but you already
Something like
bought
that
it, right?
can
You're
kill a
already
deal.
all in.
But here's what you need to understand. You need to understand that the market that's actually doing this. So it doesn't take them, it's not like they go out and they reassess and all of a sudden you're hit with a change. They announce it. They let you know they're going to be doing this. They have assessors going out through the township,
Okay. Does it mean that during this time, all sales kind of like die down, you think?
I don't know. I wasn't an agent during that period of time when they were doing reassessments. I know that a lot of people who own homes were having issues because the tax rates jumped like crazy, especially when they didn't reassess for 20 years. But there were a lot of appeals. There were a lot of people who were upset about it. But yeah, I don't know.
It makes sense.
It
not only it kills deals and it adds a lot of stress because that's something that you have to pay. It's not like you can be like, oh, let me do another payment plan. No, you gotta pay that.
Yep. Yeah, you have to. Right. Either that or they take it and they sell it at a tax auction.
Exactly.
Wow. In a
Wow.
tax auction, you can't buy it back.
Dang, that's crazy. So another thing that I want to throw, since we're talking costs, right? We already talked about the, making sure you underwrite vacancies and understand your market rents, et cetera, raising rents. Talk about assessments and reassessments and value. So how do you do like closing costs, right? I think every area is a little bit different, or every lender is different for closing costs, right?
Yeah, every lender is a little different. Every area is different. Different states have different laws, and then different municipalities have different laws. So you got to look at not only the state, the municipality. You got to look at your lender, how many points they're charging, all that stuff. On average, I do about 5% additional to the sale price of the
I've done 6.5 now, just to be conservative.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Increases to 10 just so you have a buffer.
Exactly.
But the biggest reason why I do 5 is Pennsylvania charges a 2% sales tax on transfer tax. The seller pays 1%. The buyer pays 1%. And then say you have to pay a point and a half, 2 points to the broker. Then you're paying all the prep fees, doc prep fees, and everything like that.
Okay.
So a lot of that, some of that is set prices by your closing agent. Some of that is percentages.
Don't you have to pay a certain amount to if you say you're not using a broker, let's say you're using a realtor, you have to pay your realtor too, right? Isn't it like 2%?
Yeah. So depends on the realtor, depends on the brokerage, and it depends on whether or not the seller is paying the agent's commission.
The seller can pay the agent's commission.
Yes. Yeah. So the majority of times, the seller will pay the agent's commission if you're buying the property. Sometimes they won't. Now, there's a new law that came out last year. I believe it was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago. This whole lawsuit thing unfolded as far as seller, buyer, agent commissions. Now the seller, we have to disclose as agents that you as a seller are not required to pay the buyer agent commission. So if the seller refuses to pay the buyer agent commission, one of two things happens. You could end up as the buyer paying 2.5%, 3% to your agent out of your pocket as far as closing, or this is what I do is I actually negotiate my commission in the deal.
Okay.
Yeah. So what it's called is the listing agent will go in and say, listen, seller, I think we really should pay the buyer agent out of the commission, just have it up front. We're going to charge 6 or 7% commission, and this percentage is going to go to me, this percentage is going to go to the seller, to the buyer agent. Sometimes the seller was like, no, I don't want to pay that. I want to pay just you, which then leaves it open to negotiations in the contract. So obviously when you're putting in offers, initially what I'm going to do is I'm like, hey, buyer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to save you this 3%, paying me. I'm going to negotiate my commission into the deal. and we're talking back and forth, and however that works. Sometimes I can get it, sometimes I can't. Most of the time, I can get it.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. So, how much does the brokerage get? This is just off of the top of the head because I don't know if the seller gets 3 and you get, because you said 6%, right? Buyer
Say
seller
an
gets
average is
3.
6, 7 is about average. If the seller's paying both sides of the commission, it depends on the brokerage. It really does. My brokerage, it's tiered levels. So anything below a certain amount, if my commission is $2,000, I actually just pay my broker $200, and then I keep the rest.
Oh, that's awesome.
So then we also, I mean, there is also an added fee in there for the brokerage, the brokerage fee that gets charged back to the seller too. So that the $7.95, that's what we charge for my brokerage, right? So it just depends on the brokerage. Some brokerage fees are lower, some brokerage fees are higher. Sometimes some agents eat the brokerage fee on behalf of their buyer.
Wow, that's nice. I was
Like,
wondering about the.
it means it comes out of that commission.
That's right. That's actually a good. That's a good idea. So regarding what if that doesn't matter. I'm getting into the weeds now because I'm thinking about something else completely. So because I'm not going to own a brokerage anytime soon.
No,
I was wondering
no.
about
I'll be there
I was
first.
wondering about So you have the there's also the title company, right? That we have to think about, and then the escrow, and the title company is also the attorney, right?
Yeah, you can choose either or. So I sometimes on some deals I use an actual attorney. I use a real estate attorney, or
Is
I
there a
will
reason
use
why
a
you pick?
settlement agency, a title company. Yeah,
Was there why you would pick the attorney instead of a title company?
not really.
Okay. And then you also fees that you have to understand is like, so based on what you're saying, there's a bunch of fees for closing costs that we need to take into account. There's the appraisal fee that you need to pay as a buyer.
Usually up front before closing.
Before closing, yes. And then there's also the lender fees, which you talk about, the points, etc. And you also have the underwriting fee, which I learned about when I was doing my loan. Something that most people, I didn't know about. I just underwrote it. Why you regardless. And there's also the title fees, title transfer insurance, all those other things, title insurance and stuff like that. And then if you're buying it with an FHA, I learned this. There's the MIP, I think it's called. You have to pay like an upfront.
Yes. Yeah. Mortgage insurance.
Mortgage insurance.
Yep,
Yes.
mortgage insurance. So that is required
Premium.
by any lender. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but when I was working at the bank, it's not just FHA loans, VA loans, or I can't remember the other one top of my head, but those programs that allow you to pay a lower percentage down, like FHA is 3.5%, some are 5%. If you go to your bank and listen, I don't want to pay 20% down, I want to pay 5% down. Some banks will let you do that, but you have to get private mortgage insurance, PMI. You have to get private mortgage insurance in order to do that.
Yes. There's the PMI, but then there's like for FHA, they have this extra thing called an MIP, which is like a mortgage insurance premium. You have to pay a certain amount up front for the mortgage insurance.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So basically, you're buying a full year of mortgage insurance before you close. At closing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. Sometimes they do that too. That can be part of the PMI. But what most people don't understand is that they can do this at the bank. Like they don't need an FHA. They don't need a USDA.
You're telling me you can just do this conventional, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
As
When I
long
was
as
a
owner
mortgage lender
occupied.
when I was a mortgage lender at the bank I used to work at, I would like, listen, you can buy a home. You can qualify for this. You don't have to have that much down. You can have 5% down, and you then just have to pay your PMI, your private mortgage insurance up until, and most people don't know that, 80%. Once
18%?
80.
80%. Oh, 80%. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Once your loan to value is at 80%, you can write in to get that canceled.
And if you don't write in to get it canceled, it just stays there forever, correct?
Yep.
Even if you're like 50%, it just stays. What if the value of the home goes above what you purchased at? It just stays there.
It'll stay there until you write in to get it canceled, until you ask for cancellation on it. And you can lower your loan to value in two different ways. You can lower it by paying on the principal and making your payments every month and doing what you're supposed to do until you're at 80% of your appraised value.
Mm-hmm.
But what most people don't understand too is there's that option, but also combine it with the appreciation option.
Depreciation, right?
Because if you go you can hire. You don't need a bank to hire an appraisal, but if you go to an appraiser and say, "Hey, I want to hire you to assess my property," it comes back, within a year of the mortgage or your purchase that is actually higher. That you actually have 20% of equity in your home. You can go to the bank with the appraisal and say, "I have 80% loan to value. I can get rid of my PMI."
Yeah. That's actually a really good idea. It's a very, very good idea. And I think the last thing regarding fees for your property that your underwriting, utilities. What are the utilities that you need to worry about? I think, if I remember correctly, it's against the law in Pennsylvania for the owner not to pay for water. The owner should pay for water.
It depends. It's not against the law.
Okay.
But here's the thing. So electricity is lienable against the occupant, against the person who has the account, right? So they file credit against the account. So if you're with, North for Sales, Duquesne Light, and you don't pay the water bill, the electric bill for Duquesne Light, then, they report it to your credit. Then you move to a new place and you have to have Duquesne Light because they only service that's the only service you have available for your new apartment, new house, or whatever. You have to pay that to them before they start your electric back. And you probably have to pay a security deposit to them.
Wow.
But water and sewer are lienable against the property, which means if you don't pay water, so say you force a tenant to pay water, you transfer it over to them, they pay water, then they stop paying water. Next thing you know, they move out. You get a $10,000 water bill lien against the property that you're responsible for paying.
That's insane.
So if you're going to charge tenants water or sewer, you keep it in your name, you charge back.
Chargeback. And chargeback is not illegal because some areas you can't charge back.
Some areas is not. Like we figured out, we found out, Cleveland, they don't like that.
They don't like chargeback, really? That doesn't make much sense.
Or Nick Walter.
That doesn't make much sense, though. That's why he was having the issue with the people leaving the windows open and then going out. I said, put a lock on a thermostat. Maybe that will help.
Yeah. So like that stuff. You gotta, again, know your law, know your municipality, and know your state. Grace, I pay water and sewer. Homer City, I charge back to tenants. Just depends.
Homer City? Which one is that one?
I have 2 units in Homer City, Pennsylvania.
Okay. But you don't charge back in Grace? How much
Not
is
yet.
that water bill, homie? Okay. I don't know what to say.
The reason I don't do it yet is because everything's on one system. I have one water meter per 4 units. So per building has one water meter. So what I'm in the process of doing slowly, in addition to renovating units, is I'm in the basements, I'm repiping the entire base water system in the basements. So that way I can re-meter, I can individually sub-meter the entire building and charge for usage against that tenant, that unit. That is legal more so than, say, RUBS or utilities splitting.
And chargeback is not legal?
Well, but basically, Homer City is a 1 unit, and I can say, this is how much water you use. I know for a fact because this is how much water usage they say I used.
Correct.
And they can pay it. Grace, I have 4 units on 1 meter, 1 bill. If I look at this bill and say, okay, I'm going to divide it by 4, there may be issues there. It depends on the laws. So what's better for me, for Grace, is when I can sub-meter the entire building and put meters on each individual line, each individual unit, and say, this I know for a fact is how much water you used, then each person is fairly charged the amount of water they used.
Does it cost a lot to do those pipes?
I'd say, so one building cost me about $400 in material. I did it myself.
Okay.
Obviously, you hire a plumber, it's going to cost you a lot more.
Yeah.
And then the meters themselves can range from $200 to $500.
Wow.
Depends on how fancy you want to
get.
And
then do they come, and does PA American Water come by and be like, oh, these are new meters, and they put it in their system and everything like that?
No. They'll only read their meter. When you
have another meter.
Meters, I have.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah. I have to read them when I sub-meter.
So you have to send someone out there to go and read them, or does it do it electronically?
Or if I want to pay a little bit more money for a more expensive high-tech meter, it'll send me the usage.
That's actually pretty cool. Okay, another expense that I was talking about that I'm thinking about that I think I'm gonna have to challenge now because I'm gonna have to deal with landscaping. How do you deal with your landscaping, snow, and exterior costs?
Yeah. So just taking over Grace, I found the landscaper, the guy who would mow the lawn, that did landscaping and snow removal that previous ownership had used. And I said, keep going. Here's the new billing address. Keep going. That way, it was one thing off my plate that I didn't have to worry about. I didn't have to go out find new people. I had a lot to worry about at that point too.
Right.
This year, it gave me time to put in place a system for landscaping. So I've built and hired a technician, basically somebody in charge of maintenance that does the mowing, does the landscaping, does the weed eating.
In-house?
Yep.
Awesome.
So also, he receives all of our work orders, and he goes and schedules the tenants and makes sure that the repairs are done. So it's all encompassed in one now that I've built this system.
And then that will also account for like snow removal and stuff. Because I never knew what as an owner, what you're in charge of removing. Like, I guess the walkways, if there's snow in the walkways,
So
the
it
stairs.
depends on the municipality again. It really does.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So as far as my properties in the rural areas, it's up to the tenant to remove all the snow. It's up to them to plow their own driveway, to hire someone to plow the driveway, to shovel the walkways. The house I have in Homer City is right up on a sidewalk. It's their responsibility to shovel the sidewalk.
Okay.
Grace, I have to plow and shovel sidewalks.
What about the driveways? Like the parking?
I got to plow the parking areas and the driveways. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. One thing that's written up in my leases is that the tenant is responsible for from their door to and around their car.
Okay. That makes sense. And you do everything else from there then. So then how do you plow when their cars are parked there? Like, what do you use?
You get as close as possible, and they're responsible for around their car.
Okay. So do you have like a truck that you just drive by? Yeah. Really?
Yeah, I got a truck. I got a Dodge 2500 with a plow on it.
That's awesome. How long does it take usually? All day?
Not really, no. It takes
for the
hours,
winter storm. How long did it take? Because I remember you had a winter storm. I was there. There's a storm, and it was a lot of snow.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I saw the landscaper there over the winter once, twice plowing. It took them maybe 15, 20 minutes, and that was one swipe through the parking lots while the storm was going on. He had to come back a couple times to clean up and make sure that it was clear after the storm had ended.
Wow.
Yeah.
No complaints from the tenants?
Oh, there were complaints. Everyone complains. I mean, it's one of the worst winters in 20 years. So there's too much snow. The driveways aren't plowed yet. And I'm like, dude, you need to be patient because the guy's out and about. He's plowing. He's trying. He can't keep up.
Yeah, there's a lot of snow, guys. He just plowed. You saw him. It's back.
Yeah.
It happened to me. We were walking 30 minutes. It was all back. The guy, all his work was covered up.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. One of the worst winters in 20 years, and the people had no patience to even deal with, what were you doing? You were inside all day anyway.
That's true. And everything was closed. I remember. So, and that leads into like, how do you know your tenant quality? How do you figure out tenant quality? Because for me, I think Crafton has really good tenant quality because it's really close to downtown Pittsburgh. It's like, you're not in the city, but you're not need to go, you can. But I don't know how, I don't know if the tenant quality is great everywhere.
It's not.
Right? So how did you know that quality McKeesport is going to be good?
You set your screening reports and you set your screening criteria and you follow it. Like you follow your screening criteria. And you're going to get a bunch of applications, and you're going to get a bunch of people who you deny and a few that you approve.
So, but the reason I'm asking that is because sometimes in these areas you have like tenants that are, it's hard to, for example, let's say you have Section 8 tenants, right? How do you know that this area is really big in Section 8 versus another area that is not that big in Section 8? You know what I mean?
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, that would depend. I mean, if you're focused on Section 8 tenants, you want to look at the housing authority. You want to go to them and have conversations with the housing authority and say, this is what I want to do. Is this even an option? Sometimes, yeah. But even then, I mean, is your market rents? So Section 8 of Allegheny County covers the entire county of Allegheny. So no matter where your property is, then they cover that entire county. Now, different municipalities like McKeesport.
But Pittsburgh is different, right?
Pittsburgh has their own housing authority. Yeah.
That changes it a bunch.
Yeah. But Section 8 qualifies the tenant based on their income, and Section 8 inspects and qualifies the unit based on, so it doesn't matter really. So unless you are in affordable housing community that is 100% managed by Section 8 housing authority, basically the tenant has to apply for you. They have to get approved. Once they're approved, Section 8 will come out and inspect the unit. The tenant fills out paperwork, you fill out paperwork, and then once everything's approved, the unit's approved, tenant's approved, we approve the tenant, then they can move in. If none of that gets approved, say that the unit doesn't pass inspection. Now, the units don't ever pass inspection the first time anyway, because that's just housing authority. But say it just doesn't pass, or you just don't want to deal with not trying to pass it, then you're not going to get Section 8 tenant. If the tenant doesn't qualify for your parameters from your criteria on your screening reports, then you're not going to take that tenant.
I also heard that when I was looking on some rental comps, I saw some of in the comments or in the description of the property says this unit does not pass Section 8 requirements, right? So is that like a filter for the Section 8 users, or is it like
that is, yeah, and
okay.
that's the legal loophole for people who say I don't want Section 8. You can't discriminate to people who want Section 8. You can't say no Section 8, no housing authority, no.
If you haven't gotten your unit checked for Section 8, you can say that it doesn't pass the requirements.
If it doesn't pass the requirements of Section 8, you're obviously by default not going to get any Section 8 tenants.
Perfect. Perfect. What are your deal killers when you're looking at properties? For me, it's foundation issues. But I actually found one that had a foundation issue, and I was like, it was a nice property too, and I was like, man, this could actually work. And then, nope.
Yeah, well, you're going to hate me on this one, but my deal killers are, again, like you said, foundation issues, big foundation issues. Some things can get fixed. I actually did a flip. I'm actually working on a flip that has a foundation issue that we made a repair on. It was no big deal. Septic sewer issues. It's my no-go.
Sewer issues?
Yep.
Really?
That's my no-go.
Even if they pay for it to get fixed? Like, you got a credit for it.
Yeah,
I got credit for my
exception with Grace. So Grace actually didn't pass the sewer inspection in a couple of units. So I made an exception on that one because the majority of it did. And we haven't had an issue with it since. But the previous owner actually made repairs. So
okay. So you asked them to make the repairs and they fixed it.
Right.
Okay.
Full roof replacements.
Wow. Question. Why don't you like sewer repairs? So if they're paying for it, you don't like it either? You still don't like it?
If they're paying for it, then I don't have an issue because, again, if they're paying for it, but confirm with the plumber. So you get the plumber out there to give you an estimate on the repairs, because from what I learned from Grace and the previous owner, they had a plumber that was in their pocket that gave them a quote to repair everything. And then they gave me that quote, and that's what they based the credit on. I went back to that same plumber to start work, and he said, it's actually going to be 160. It's going to be double what I quoted them.
Right.
Why? Well, I like them. That was my, just assumption that he was just used to dealing with that owner. He gave him credits. He gave him all kinds of stuff. Yeah, for me, as a new, he's trying to get. He
don't know you, right?
Yeah.
But then now he lost his business again, right? Because now you're going to look for another plumber.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, that's what I was worried about as well. But
yeah. So it just depends on the deal. It depends on what I'm going in the deal for. I had to make roof repairs for the flip. I had to make foundation repairs for the flip. I had to repipe the entire unit for the flip. But if I'm looking at it like I'm going to go in and do the work, I don't have an issue. If I'm looking at it like I want cash flowing right away and then prove it later, then we're gonna then I walk away from a few things.
I mean that does make sense because I'm so far away, right? Is why it's like I don't even want to deal with all these things. I gotta get a guy to go out there and check, and I gotta have someone to make sure that the guy's doing what he's saying he's doing. It's a lot more than just me
walking the property and watching
and watching them work. Exactly. Which is why foundation, any major repairs. That's why all the units that I'm looking at right now are kind of like mostly turnkey. Don't get me wrong, there's like some cosmetic repairs, and if they get sewer repair, if they pay for it, get fixed, I don't care. But apparently in a lot of municipalities in PA, the sewer repair inspection is mandatory. If I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, and by seller too. Like the seller has to check it out and make sure it works before they can put on the market.
Yep. And then we'll have the option to either pass that along to the buyer and say, listen, there's a sewer issue, and we'll give you credit for it, or they're responsible for fixing it.
Yes. I remember that when I was looking at one, and I think it was in Brentwood, the seller that's another high Mills area. The seller was telling me, that the sewer needs to be fixed. And I was like, okay, so you can fix that, right? He's like, no. And I was like, no, you literally have to. I can't do it. You literally have to give me a credit or fix it. But yeah, man. Wow. We've talked a lot. I did have a couple questions that I wanted to ask you here. And so you've looked at a bunch of large multifamily deals. So do you trust the proformas that you get from sellers?
No,
or
I never
from
trust
brokers? Never.
No, I don't like proforma. Proforma means what if.
What if?
Proforma means if it worked out perfectly, and nothing ever works out perfectly.
This is basically what the proforma for me is like. What I can make the property worth if I do all the work, basically.
Right.
Well, it's not worth that right now.
Right. And again, if it's all done perfectly, like,
yeah, exactly.
I think we had the conversation before. Allegheny Multifamily, the broker there,
Yes,
he
exactly.
throws numbers
Yes.
out into the air and hopes they stick. Like,
I don't know. Apparently he's closed a couple deals. I
yeah, it
don't know,
closed a few,
man.
and good luck to those buyers. But
I wish him the best because sometimes I look at that and like, there's no way, man. There's
yeah,
no way.
yeah. I mean, he
I look,
notates it. He notates broker assumed, broker assumed, broker assumed. Like, but give me real numbers.
brokers
And that's
brokers
that's
assuming a
part of your
lot.
due diligence. You have to look at the real numbers. You have to look at all that stuff. And if they won't give it to you, something's up, and you walk away.
No, I agree. That's why large multifamilies are a little bit stickler because, especially in Florida, dude, a lot of people are trying to sell as what the property could make instead of what it is.
Yeah, same here in
It's like,
Pittsburgh. Absolutely,
it
same
was
here. Yeah, yeah. I actually have calls every now and then. One of the agents with my brokerage got a 15 unit listing, and she gives me a call and she's like, "Hey, the seller wants to list it for like $1.2 million." And I was like, "Send me the information. Send me the rent roll. Send me the expense ratio. Send me the P&Ls, trailing 12, and all that stuff." I send me it, and I says, "Listen, it's only worth 800,
right.
like top end 800,000."
I don't know how they got. I mean, you could probably start at 1.2, wait a couple of years, and we'll get down to
drop down a little bit. Listen, seller, we have to renegotiate this price because it ain't moving, and you want to sell.
It's not moving. You want to sell, yeah. So how long you want it on the thing is what I would say. How long you want it on there?
Right, exactly. You know, and one of the biggest things with the market, one of the biggest thing with the market is if you overprice, it's going to sit forever. If you underprice, the market's going to dictate the price. The
market would start bidding. I
Yeah,
actually had that. There was one deal in, I think it was a duplex in Bethel Park they were looking at, and then they priced it, and it was a steal. I was like, "There's no way." So I submitted an offer, and I was like, "Oh, we
didn't
got like
sell for that, did it?
yeah, we got like 10 offers. Can you just do best and final?" And I was like, "Dang, okay, I think it's worth this much." That sounds high as I'll go, but no, someone beat me by 5K.
Yep.
5K. And I was like, "Dang, man! If I was a little bit more gusto."
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, that's the thing. If you overprice on property, whether it be a single family that you're selling your personal home, or whether it's going to be your investment property that you're selling, you know, as an investor, if you overprice it, it's going to sit.
It's gonna
because
sit. Yeah.
because you have to be open to getting low offers. As an investor, we're going to underwrite this to our specifications, to the way we underwrite, the way we work, and the way we invest. And you don't like those numbers, it's going to sit there.
And that's the thing. Most properties, once you get into the 2 to 4 to large multi, you're selling mostly to investors, right? I would assume.
Right. Yeah, if you're looking at 2 to 4 units, you're looking at maybe the owner occupied.
Owner occupied,
If they want to
maybe.
start house hacking, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But they can
The
still
majority
house
of the
hack
time,
with
you're selling to people who already own those. You're selling to people who want to
Yeah.
get into the investing game, who already have, you know, a house or whatever.
Right. Exactly. All right. All right. So every market has its own rules. Pittsburgh has taxes, old stock, utilities, and a bunch of other things. It's your job as an investor, guys, to understand these rules when you're doing underwriting your markets and stuff like that. As Zach said, a lot of stories come from when you're analyzing market, talking to lenders, talking to brokers, even investors. I had an investor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had an investor when he first quote me at 28, and I was like, "Dang, this is gonna kill my deal." Can I find someone else that can do it under 2,800? And then I literally made a bunch of phone calls. I called you, you're like, "Yeah, I work with Keystone," and I called them. He's like, "Yeah, I'll give you a commercial one, and you can just give me 10K down payment, and I can lower it to like 22." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that works." Yeah, I'm not trying to break the bank here. I just want the property. Yeah, so it's stuff like that you just, when you're trying to underwrite, when you're trying to go your deals, guys, you have to make sure that you're actually in the game. I have to say 100%. If you have nothing, like you started from the ground zero, buy a duplex, a fourplex, house hack if you can.
Get in the game. Get in the
game.
Yeah, get in the avenue. You learn
so much more once you're in the game than you do from trying to just start large.
Yeah, but what you need to understand is when you underwrite the property and get under contract, keep underwriting, keep looking at different options. What could happen? What could not happen? What could fail? And what's the worst case scenario? And if you don't like any of those, if the numbers don't work, don't try to stretch the numbers. Don't be like, "Oh, well, I guess I could get this much in rent and it'll work at those prices.
No.
But if you don't get those rents, then it's not going to work at all. So why would you purchase if it's not going to work? Very conservative underwriting.
Yeah, what I did is I usually underwrite it at lower rents. I think my rents at this area where I have my units, they can go from like 900 to around 1,000. And I was like, what if each unit could only, for the love of God, could only get only 800? So I was like, I was just going to write everything at 800, and does it still work? And it did. So I was like, okay, let me just keep it at 800. Don't try to be highball. Don't try to be fancy.
Yeah, we underwrote Grace. Once we realized that we can't go Section 8 route, we underwrote Grace at 850.
850? Nice. Yeah. But that's what you have to be, man. You have to be willing to do those things. A lot of people that you get to take action. You can read all the books you want, but if you sit there and you don't take action, then you're just going to be doing this, keep reading the books, I guess.
Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. That's for sure. If you want to start investing, do it. I know a lot of people who have come to me and say, I want to learn. Can you teach me? And we have a couple of meetings, and then they fall off the face of the earth, and they never invest. One lady I was talking to wanted to learn, wanted to get into the game, wanted to start investing, wanted to teach her son how to invest. She never called back. The things came up and everything. So, but she still hasn't invested in anything, and neither has her son.
Yeah. And then when you do start investing, there's gonna be a lot of people who are like, "What are you doing?" Don't worry about it. I say it's like a. What I read this in the book. It's like when you push a small snowball down the mountain, and it starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. You saw it in the cartoons. That's what it is. Right now, you're just pushing the small little. It's like a little trickle, but down the road, it gets bigger the farther it goes down. So keep at it. But all right, I have nothing else, guys. Yeah. Thank you for joining the Scale Nation podcast.
That was a good conversation today. I liked it.
No, that was awesome. Yeah, I liked it. Subscribe, guys, if you haven't already. Leave a like, and we'll talk to you later.
Absolutely. See you guys.
Bye, guys.